Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin back again. And it has been a while since we've taken a look at After Skool, but he's got this great video here called The Freedom of Being Nobody, done by Ram Dass. So we'll listen to a little bit of what Ram Dass has to say.
Compelling title, Freedom of Being Nobody. Let's see what he has to say.
To the extent that I am anything at all, we could consider me as a separate entity, a set of predisposing characteristics, a program that is manifesting by taking a human birth at this time. I have taken a birth into a body, and that body has with it a personality. I've taken a birth into a personality, and that personality is in a body. And I am going through a set of experiences which is called living life. And these experiences have a certain function. These experiences, if used consciously and intentionally by me, are vehicles through which I can awaken to who I am in truth. Let me take you through an example I often use, just another little metaphorical image and an analogy. Imagine, for example, that you have next to your eyes a little control switch, and you look at another human being on channel 1. And what you see when you look at the other human being is a physical body. Man, woman, old, young, fat, thin, pretty, handsome, ugly, interesting. If you're a scientist, you might call them mesomorphs, ectomorphs, and endomorphs. Okay? It's a matrix of individual differences on physical plane. It's the plane of standing on the corner watching all the girls go by. It's that reality. Now let's just say you're looking at another person and you flick your television receiver one channel. Now you look at another person and what you see is their psychology. Oh, you're a manic depressive. Oh, you're a happy person. I wish I was happy like you. People in psychotherapy live on this channel usually. They're totally preoccupied with their own depressions, elations, fears, anxieties, loneliness, hopes, etc. And that's reality. That's the real you. And the physical body is merely the carrier of that. Well, let's flip it again. Flip it again and you look at another person, and if you are so trained to be able to see on this channel, you would say, oh, I know who you are. You're a Libra. I can tell because of the... You're a Sagittarius. On this channel, on channel 3, there's only 12 beings in the universe and various permutations of them. Okay? You are now seeing what could be known as the astral identity of an individual. You're seeing another plane of reality. You're seeing another way of looking at individual differences. These are 3 ways of looking at individual differences, 3 matrices, if you will. But now you flip the dial once more. It starts to get interesting. Now if you flip the dial and look into another person's eyes, you flip the dial inside your own being and look into another person's eyes, what you see is another being looking back at you. Inside an astral configuration, a personality, and a body. You in there? I'm in here. How did you get into that one? And you see what the Christians call soul. You see another soul. You see another being just like you. No different, just like you, just another being. And that you see that all the individual differences are all of the stuff in which this being is encased. Now, you could almost be comfortable with that one, but we unfortunately must flick the dial a few more times. I mean, I must take you the whole journey. You flick the next dial, and what you see when you look into someone else's eyes is you see yourself looking at yourself, looking at yourself. Because on that plane, there is only one of it. It is one awareness that is in a multiplicity of forms. And finally, if you will allow me to flick the dial just once more, if you haven't given up completely yet, you flip the dial once more, and you disappear, and I disappear, and the dial disappears. And we're dealing with what the Buddhists call void, or in the New Testament, before the word. That is, before the vibratory uniqueness. Or why God is not able to be spelled in the Hebrew religion. It's unspeakable, unknowable, unseeable, unconceivable, inconceivable.
I was watching a TikTok this week of a girl who was talking, maybe she had just had it the night before, or she had had a spiritual awakening experience. And she was saying in the video that the thing that came to her is she was like, she didn't even explain it. She was just like, I remember. She was saying, I remembered. You know, I woke up and I remembered. And she was like, for those of you out there who understand what I'm talking about, you get what I'm saying when I say I remembered. Which is interesting. We've got me thinking, because I'm someone who has an experience, but I'm trying to like tune in to try and get what you might be pointing to there. And I feel like this is kind of one of those videos trying to like point you there. There's a remembrance thing happening. We've all apparently forgotten something.
Anybody's explanation of what it was like, I feel like you can't really delegitimize if it's their experience that they're explaining, right? For her, she says, I remember. That's sort of novel when you think of the other ways of people explaining it, you know?
Yeah.
Although I feel like maybe I've heard something similar to that, a remembering. You know, the Bible talks about lest ye be born again, or, you know, lest ye be like little children, you shall in no way enter the kingdom, or something like that, you know? And that, to me, that's like, could point to something remembered later on in life. This is what it was like when the world was like, when it was less encumbered by my ego. I remember perceiving the world this way. It's a magical place. The problem is having an experience and then coming up with a catchphrase for it, or having an experience and then the brain's just unbelievable tendency to fill it with like narrative.
Yeah.
Just don't grab onto any narrative. You know, it's, to me, it says void, for Pete's sake. You know, should be a pretty damn good indicator. Like, I don't mean to get frustrated. I realize how difficult all this stuff seems to be. But one of the things I say is easier done than said. Easier done than said, you know? Like, that's my struggle lately, is how to talk about, how to exemplify, how to live in certain things. Rather than like another egocentric poetic way of explaining things, you know?
They showed the two images of the people there with the DNA strand kind of wrapping around and then like seeing each other. And I've heard a lot of people saying that, you know, like, just try, and we just had a guest on recently who we were talking about this, about like, try to see the God or the oneness or in everything, in absolutely everything. Just recognize that it's you.
I've also heard,
essentially. Haven't
you also heard of people, just to like, you know, kind of hit the ping pong ball back a different way?
Yeah.
Haven't you also heard people talk about like they look at someone who's deeply awakened and it's like there is nothing in there. It's like looking into the eyes of nothingness, but in a good way. I don't mean somebody that's like catatonic. I mean like somebody that doesn't have some kind of like personality thing running the show. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it looks more like a gentle. I see gentleness when I look in.
Because I feel like if we're talking about this void, rather than just being able to recognize it in human beings, you would think you'd be able to start to see it in all things. You know, even inanimate things, maybe. You know what I mean? If you realize that consciousness is like we're getting at the root of where everything is, right? Like we're getting to God with a capital G, aren't we?
Yeah.
Not like little case G, soul realm, you know. To me, a soul is your mind. It's your mind.
Yeah.
It's synapse. It's like synapse stuff. If we're talking about something else like spirit, you know, something further than soul. It is void like.
Yeah.
I think it is a great undoing. The basic question is this: like, are you ising right now? That sounds a little bit maybe vaguely like lewd even, but
are you being rhetorical?
Let's be mature for a sec. Are you ising?
Are you is?
Are you is right now?
Do you want me to answer?
I don't even know if I want you to answer because I don't want you to latch onto a narrative.
Yeah.
I don't. The answer's almost rhetorical. It's like, are you conscious in there? Like beyond a response?
Mm-hmm.
What's below any response you could give? What's there? It better be silence. Because if it isn't, it's just mind shit. It's just thoughts and that could be altered. I could just mess with your brain. We could do surgery and open up your skull and do stuff to you.
Mm-hmm.
But are you awake? Are you aware? Are you ising? Are you part of the great isness? Just ask yourself that and find the silence below it all. That's what I feel like would help with this.
All right, we continue on. We'll see you guys at the end of the video.
Okay, now, of all of these channels on the television set, who are you? Which one do you want to settle for? You want to be middle-aged? How about that one? I mean, I'm middle-aged. I guess I'm middle-aged. I have a 47-year-old body. It's like I have also a 1974 Dodge van. But you say to me, who are you? And I don't say I'm a Dodge van. Why do I choose to identify with this? Well, if I don't pick body, should I pick personality? I'm somebody on the path. That's a good one to be. I'm a curious person. I'm curious about the future. That's a good one. I'm a responsible person. Well, I'm kind of wild. I'm lazy. I'm working on myself. These are all different psychological takes of who one is. Each plane, each turn of the dial has a different statement of your identity, and each one is getting into a more and more profound place. Now when we come back to who am I, which channel are you talking about? If we start from the top and go on down into the grosser planes, I am the void who manifests as the one, who becomes the many, who has a unique set of factors to work out through a unique astral, psychological, and physical body. That's what I'm doing on Earth. I have taken a body to do certain work. And when I finish that work, I will drop that body. We are dealing here with the issues of karma and reincarnation. Now, in the West, after the councils of Trent, Constantinople, and Nicaea, anywhere from about 200 to 500 AD, these ideas were roughly thrown out of Christianity because they didn't make the church a workable situation. Because when you had reincarnation and karma, every human being became their own priest, because it was between you and God. And for the church to keep its own control and see its function as keeping people morally living properly, it had to get rid of those concepts. Have I taken birth before? I have no experiential knowledge of that. But from where I'm sitting, undoubtedly thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Will I take birth again? Undoubtedly thousands and thousands and thousands of times. I have to tax your brain with one more difficult concept. As long as we were dealing with your body, with your personality, with your astral identity, or with your soul, we were dealing in time. Time passes, things change. The minute we got up into the higher plane than that, in the one, there is no time anymore. Time is relative. Now we're dealing with the place where when you know yourself as that, you just are. You are going nowhere and you are coming from nowhere. The Zen master says your going and coming is nowhere but where you are.
Precise.
Now, if you can start to sense, I mean, you don't have to believe what I'm saying just because it's the way the universe looks to me, but if you could empathize just enough to appreciate how it would be to be looking at the world from this point of view, if you imagine what it's like to see your life as so functional to your awakening, and your death equally so, that the whole business becomes merely a process of growth and awakening and opening and deepening and clearing and shifting channels, and there is no problem about transition. There's no holding on out of fear. It's just opening.
Hell yeah, that's a good quote too. That last quote was spot on too.
What was
Your journey is about being more deeply involved and more detached
yeah.
at the same time. Yes. Correct, Ram Dass. It's like, it's interesting because as he was talking about it, I was like, there's a little bit of a risk of people being like, oh, I get it. It's like, wrong again. I know how frustrating it is, but how do you do it other than like this, other than the hand opening? That's one of the best signals. And before I had any kind of like, I don't even know where I'm at. I don't know where. I couldn't plot myself somewhere, but I'm saying, I used to say, probably back when I was still a mess, it's got something, all of this has got something to do with this. I'm holding on like this and it's got to do with this.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's an indicator too. That's it. That's all I'm going to say because I don't know what else you can say.
Your ability, the ability to let go, relinquish, to be in the moment, might, have something to say about how awakened you might actually be. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something about like the experience of just raw consciousness. I think that there's just something about that despite the outward appearance that let's take somebody, not me, not any of us, but let's say somebody that you can think of that appears to be deeply conscious and deeply awake and deeply blissed out in Zen. It's like, that's the appearance that they're like form now. What is the term? Corporeal form? Corporeal form seems to be like taking. But I don't think that they would pay a bunch of credence and heed to like, oh, thank God, let me tell you about this, because like the best part is how good I feel all the time now and how like perfect my life is and how everything lines up. Like no false promises here. Like death still exists. Pain still exists.
Yeah. It was interesting looking
troubles.
at all the different character types in there, right? It's so easy to get caught up. Like, it was like, I'm going to be the lazy guy, and I'll be the, personal development guy. And
the guy in the path guy.
Always something out there to be chasing or pursuing or doing. And even when you get a moment of time, you're like, I'm going to go watch something and distract.
I think there's a great freedom, honestly, and not to lay it too hard, because I guess this video is kind of heavy for some people, but it needs to be said. It's like a little cherry on top. There's a great freedom, I think, in being like, when I die, it's most like I do not remember my past life, like certifiably, like I can stake my claim, like it's absolutely true. I remember my past lives. I don't remember where I was not, and then I was, and then once again I will be not. So what is this little interlude where, like I always say, you're going to be dead so much longer than you were ever alive? And all the things that you left behind will eventually decay. So what is this little glimpse, this little flash in the pan? Is it really stuck in traffic, like ruminating? thinking things through, thinking about how I can, what I can do, what my game plan is that really like the peak of it? I don't think so. And I think that there's dudes sitting on cushions with eyes batted that give you a little bit of a breadcrumb clue that there's something else that's worth a yarn stitch worth pulling at.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of deep stuff there. Great video by After Skool. Another good solid message from Ramdas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our reaction on it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend. Everyone, till next time,
Stay spiritual.